Luke Kennard and Langston Galloway. Let me let that sink in for a minute. Jesus, that is awful. The Detroit Pistons are terrible. Now, Stanley Johnson is a good young player. He is really good. I love him. I love him. And I believe that he is going to be an exceptional NBA player. Now, he's under the rookie contract right now. When he comes from under that right then, the chances of the Detroit Pistons of being able to sign him are slim to none. I just don't think Stanley Johnson will be around after that. Their bench is, jeez. I actually don't know which is worse. The bench for the Detroit Pistons or the fan base for the University of Michigan. Both of them stink. I don't know which one's worse. You can choose. I'll just leave that up to you. I don't know. But their bench, I don't even know any of those guys on their bench. They're just terrible. I don't even know how they're competing. 6-4 in their last 10. How is that possible? I have no idea. So you got to buckle up because Lions fans and Pistons fans don't have much to look forward anytime soon, and their ownership is not doing you any favors. None. When you pay parking and vending and tickets and you go and get a 7-9 season or a 44-37 season or 38 season, it's not going to get it done. You know, why do you pay for that? You know what this equivalent of Detroit Lions fans and Pistons fans, this is like paying $50,000 for an Escort. Now, my younger viewers are not going to know what an Escort is, so let me say a Prius. You know, a Prius. You're paying $50,000 for a Prius, a used Prius at that. That is the equivalent of the Detroit Pistons and the Detroit Lions. So, and then don't forget this. Then you well, we'll just build out of the draft. It won't be a problem at all. Keep in mind, as part of the Blake Griffin trade, when they traded Tobias Harris and Avery Bradley and those guys for Blake Griffin, they also threw in the number 1 pick for 2018. So you don't even have help coming. I mean, what you see is what you get for the next however long. And as part of that as well, they threw in the 2018 or 19 second-round pick. So no real help on the way. Now, before we get to our featured guest, I want to talk about this Miles Bridges nonsense. Now, again, speaking of my guest, Herb Haygood sent me a text tonight, and it broke down scholarships for the NCAA. Now, we know Michigan State University seems to be, in my opinion, in my humble opinion, seems to be under attack by the media right now. And again, I'm not going to get into that other nonsense, but I did want to talk about this because it is absolutely sports related. Miles Bridges is the star of Michigan State's basketball team, and the Yahoo Sports reported that Miles Bridges' his mother accepted a $400 payment from Dawkins, Christian Dawkins, the agent out of Saginaw, who was linked to a bunch of different people that was taking improper payments for whatever reason. And his mother was named this week in a $400 witch hunt, if you will. So somehow this is all tied into the FBI investigation into corruption. And, you know, for whatever reason, they love Michigan State University to be under the light right now. And of course that leaves the trolls in Ann Arbor ready to just pounce anytime. It's whatever. It doesn't matter. If you can't win on the field, then gossip and talk about nothing off it. So whatever it is. But I did want to talk about this because it is an important part of this. The NCAA generates $1 billion a year annually in revenue. $1 billion. Now I added up the cost. The average Division I men's basketball player for their scholarship makes $53,000 a year. I say makes. They receive $53,000 a year to cover tuition, housing, books. Your food stipend is included in that. All that, room and board. So that covers all of that right there, $53,000. And there are 350. If you go 346 D1 schools and 4 independents, you have 350 Division I schools in the United States. At 53,000 times the 12 players, scholarship players on a roster, times 53,000 times 350 D1 schools, that totals 222 million, or approximately 1/4 of the total coffer for the NCAA. Now, in my estimation, after I looked at all the numbers, if the NCAA generates $1 billion and they pay out 1/4 of that for room and board for their players, and let's say they spend another quarter on venues for the players, for the tournaments and for the referees and all of that advertising and everything. In my estimation, the NCAA generates for their people $400 to $500 million a year profit. Now, I haven't heard Mark Emmers or anybody at the NCAA talking about Miles Bridges' mother, Cynthia. Now, no one. I heard Yahoo Sports, and I heard that dog and pony show out of Detroit called the Detroit Free Press talking about this stuff. Now, $400 is $400, whatever it was. It could have been a meal. I've ate a $400 meal. This is ridiculous. The amount of scrutiny that literally. I think I read a story the other day that one of the football players was pulled over for jaywalking. That's where Michigan State's at right now. They're under fire, and I hope that all of the Spartan fans band together. Don't buy into this nonsense. It's ridiculous, but the facts of this are the NCAA, in my opinion, I understand the absolute need for a governing body. Make no mistake about that. Somebody's got to be in control of this conglomerate. This business is so big that somebody needs to be in charge of it. And when you have that, you have rules that are in place to govern this. So I understand all that. My issue is this. The biggest organized crime faction in the United States is the NCAA. When you generate that type of money and you have these rules in place that prohibit somebody from paying for a meal. I was on campus one day and I saw, I don't know how many of you remember, there was a lineman named Fufanotti, and he had a really nice jogging suit on, and I saw him and Tony Lippett crossing Shaw going into the Scandalaris building, and I saw him and I said, "Hey, listen, man, I'd like to buy that jogging outfit from you." I said, "I'll give you $200 for it right now." And not thinking that this is a violation, that was prior to the Rose Bowl in 2014. Now, if he would have accepted that money, he would have been in violation of NCAA rules. Now, this is the nonsense that the NCAA does. Now, what I was talking about earlier, Herb sent me that link about what the new rules that the NCAA came out with in 2015. But just imagine, if you will, when our age bracket, or when Herb and Flozell and those guys was at Michigan State, they were under those rules prior to 2015. Imagine, if you will, it's Saturday night. You've already you're done with classes on Thursday or Friday, whatever your classes are, and it's the off season. It's not football season. So a football player meets a girl and decides to take her out on a date. Like, well, let's just go get something to eat. You can't, because I don't have any money. I don't have any money. The NCAA provided everything I needed. This isn't a Michigan State thing or an Alabama thing or anything. It's a NCAA thing. And so I meet this girl and I want to go out and get a Nacho Bel Grande. Can't, unless she's buying, because I don't have no money. I have generated so much money for Michigan State and the NCAA, and you're telling me I can't get a Nacho Bel Grande. That's what you're telling me. Not even that. I mean, this has got to be downright disheartening and on the verge of being humiliating for a college kid whose pockets are empty, and I'm breaking my back trying to make this university, household name across the country, and I can't get a 99-cent steak or steak sandwich. This is just, it's ridiculous. Now, on that link that Herb sent me in 2015, the NCAA came up with a cost of attendance stipend, which varies between $2,000 and $5,000 for a school. Which now these are only for Power Five conferences. So you got the ACC, the SEC, the Big Ten, the Big 12, and the Pac-12. That's the only conferences that this falls under. So if you're an athlete at Eastern Michigan, you don't fall under that cost of attendance stipend. You don't get that. But if you're at a Power 5 conference, depending on the school, so let's say you're a bottom feeder school like the University in Ann Arbor, you're getting the lowest amount of money there is because ain't nobody coming to watch you play. TV don't want care about you. I mean, you're terrible. You finish the season 6-6 every year, no one cares. But if you're Alabama or Michigan State and you're at the top of the pecking order, then maybe you'll get $5,000. So I get this money and I see that the NCAA is going in a different direction, but these rules are so antiquated, and it's going to take somebody much smarter than me or apparently anybody at the NCAA right now, because they can't get this figured out. They're going to have to do something. These kids need money, and as much money as they're generating for the school, the very least you can do is reward them in some kind of way. And somebody says, well, we're giving them a platform, we're giving them an education. Oh, that's slick, that's cute. The bottom line is the amount of money that they're generating for these universities, you should be able to go and get something to eat on the weekend and not have to, I'm over on Wilson and I got to go way over on the other side of campus because that's what dorm's cafeteria is open right now on a Saturday night. It's a terrible idea. So whatever. Next week, another big show. Hey, don't forget, get those calls in early because I got a lot of calls this week, but they came in late. We wasn't able to edit them into the show, so got to get those calls in earlier. I want you to really sit back and enjoy All-American from Michigan State, wide receiver, and a personal friend of mine, Herb Haygood, was gracious enough to join us via satellite from Ipsy. So enjoy the rest of that show, and I'm going to see you next week right back here, 11 o'clock. Don't forget, sometimes these stinking cops come and try to snatch my crops. These pigs want to blow my house down, but I'm not going to let them. Unsportsmanlike conduct is standing no matter what. So enjoy the rest of your week. Enjoy Herb Haygood, because this is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to sit and hear all the things he's got to talk about. So a lot of people are insane. Enjoy Herb Haygood. I'll see you right back here next week. Unsportsmanlike conduct.